So you define a tuple with parentheses like this. Books, Jaws, going to do 70s classics, The Exorcist, and good old Stephen King, Carrie. There we go. We just can't add anything else to it. If that was a list, we could. We could do append. But if we do books.append, here, let's add another Stephen King book, The Shining. It's going to give us an error. It says tuple object has no attribute append. Now I can't really think of a time when you'd rather use a tuple than a list.
Well, if it's something hard-coded into your thing that you don't want to change or have the ability to change.
Right. When you're doing programming in a team and you're trying to set things up so that nobody else can make mistakes, you might want to make your functions return tuples rather than lists. That way people wouldn't get the idea that they could modify that data,
That's your...
Yeah, right. So that's like making something a constant in Java or in C++ to prevent other people from messing stuff up once you hand the code off to somebody else. If something is defined as a constant, you have pi declared as a constant, they better not be changing the value of pi on you. So anyways, that's a tuple. It's a list, but one that is immutable. Immutable meaning it cannot be changed. You can still do stuff like if Jaws in books, print da-dum, da-dum. There we go. And it prints da-dum, da-dum because Jaws is in fact inside the books. So a dictionary. Other languages call them other things. In Java they're called tree maps or hash maps. But a dictionary is a way of associating two values, or more specifically a key to a value. So it says that you can create a dictionary like this. I don't think that's necessary. I think you could create a dictionary just with the two parentheses by themselves. Let's see if that's true. Let's call this one numbers, or in, because numbers is going to get annoying. There we go. Now let's do type of in to see what it is. It says it's a tuple. And I forgot that dictionaries are not defined with parentheses, so I did make an empty tuple. Let's try it like this. In is equal to empty curly braces. The shift of the square brackets. Now let's do type in. It's a dictionary. Okay, so why do you need to use a function to return an empty dictionary? I don't know. That's how you define an empty dictionary. Let's go ahead and start doing our code instead. Go over to New File, Save As, put it in your favorite place. Let's call it Diction. Alrighty. I'm going to call this one SD for Spanish Dictionary, or just maybe Spanish is equal to parentheses, curly brace, curly brace. And we're going to start putting some Spanish words in, of which my vocabulary is incredibly limited.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So when you want to add something to it, the way you do it is kind of like the way you do a list, except instead of using an index number between the square braces, you put a key. Let's give that a try. Go back here. So Spanish. Is this going to be an English to Spanish dictionary or Spanish to English dictionary? Let's do English to Spanish. Man. And I should have used square braces. is equal to hombre. One bad hombre. Spanish for the number 1 is uno. Spanish for the number 2. We're rapidly exceeding the limit of my Spanish knowledge. Dos. That's enough to prove the point. Let's just print the dictionary out at this point. Print Spanish. When we print it out, it shows our associations, our mappings, our one-to-one correlation. That a man is an hombre, 1 is uno, and 2 is dos. Let's find out another Spanish word for man.
Amigo.
Yeah, I like that. El Señor, El Macho, El Criado, El Marinero, El Verón. I like amigo. Let's go with amigo. Okay.
Spanish. Not Spanish. Spanish.
So, down here, maybe after that print, let's do Spanish, parentheses, man, in parentheses, excuse me, not parentheses, square brackets, is equal to amigo. Now print the list again. Take a guess or educated answer. When we print the list, are we going to see hombre and amigo in the list, or just amigo or just hombre?
Just amigo.
Correct, correct. And there we go. What if we wanted to print that the same way we've been printing our other lists, with a for loop? Let's give that a shot. For word, I don't need the parentheses, for word in Spanish, colon, print word. It printed man 1 and 2. Is it printing the keys or is it printing the values?
It's printing the values, right?
The thing in the brackets is the key. So it's actually going through, stepping through it and printing out all the keys. And we're not getting the values. Is there a way to get the values? Of course there's a way to get the values.
Silly questions.
We could just do this. Trans for translation is equal to Spanish, and we're going to look up that word. And so now we're going to print out the translation. This is going to look kind of dumb. Let's fix this a little bit. I deleted the first print, and I'm going to make the second print say word, comma, trans. So 2 dos, man amigo, 1 uno.
Word.
What I'm interested in is the fact that there's no order applied to this. So it's just a grab bag. It's not like it put the keys in order. Those are not in alphabetical order. It's not like it put the values in order. We just got an so the comparison of a dictionary in our head kind of breaks down there. They're not in order, but that's okay. So let's ask the user for a word to look up. Word is equal to input, find, or translate what word. And then let's look it up. Trans is equal to Spanish of that word, and then print out the same thing. Word, comma, in Spanish is, comma, trans, the translated word. So I'm going to type in 1, and it says 1 in Spanish is uno. It's not going to work as well if I give it something that doesn't exist in the dictionary. So let's look up the word 3.
Try to accept.
Boom, it blows up. So if the key is not in the dictionary, we get an exception. We could use a try, but we can also check to see if the key is in the dictionary by using the syntax in. If word in Spanish, print it out. So we will make that change. Alrighty, so instead of just print the word, we need to look it up. If word in Spanish, colon, then we can look it up and print it. Else, colon, print word, comma, is not in the dictionary. Three is not in the dictionary. So what could we do to this? We were going to try to make this useful, besides inserting a whole bunch more words into it. We might want to loop and let them either add the word or look up a word. So let's make a big loop. While true, colon. Let's ask for what we want them to do. Command equals input L lookup or A add. Then let's make it uppercase. Command equals command dot upper. Oh, and let's add a quit option. Or Q quit. So we don't know whether they're going to just type in one letter or the whole word. So why don't we just get the first letter of the word? If command 0 is equal to a Q, we will break out of the loop. If command 0 is equal to L, look up the word, we will do all the stuff we just did. So we need to tab that stuff over. that.
Is that under the 4 or?
And we could make it elif, but in this case, I don't think we're going to have the opportunity for more than one of these ifs to trigger. Lastly, if it's an A, we need to ask them for the word, ask them for the translated word, and add those to the dictionary. A fourth option, print, would be nice. So if command 0 is equal to add, what two pieces of information do we need to get? We need to get the key. Key is equal to input, what word are you defining? And then the value is equal to input, what is the translation? Then we need to add those to our Spanish dictionary. Spanish, square brace, key, in square, is equal to value. And I guess we could print a cute message that said word added, but let's offer the ability to print the dictionary. So if command 0 is equal to P, we need to have our little for loop up there. Except I'm going to call it key this time rather than word. For key in Spanish, colon, print the key followed by the Spanish version of that word key. And then just to round things off, I'm going to put a done message at the end of it. So look up. Translate one word. 2. 2 in Spanish is dos. Look up. Translate 3. 3 is not in the dictionary. So let's add 3. A3. Is it trace? T-R-E-S? I hope so, because that's what I'm putting. And I didn't put a menu option for print, but we know it works, so I'm going to hit P. And it says that 3 trace, 2 dos, 1 uno, and man. Nope, they're still not in any order. For a minute I thought they were in reverse order, but they're not.
Can you show the code again?
Yeah, I will.
Alright, hold a second. I just lost myself. Where am I?
They're sort of in order that we've been adding them. I don't know if that's true, in reverse order that we added them. Sorry, I closed the wrong window.
We've been in a while.
So let's see if integers can be used as keys. Or letters. Yeah, let's do letters. Let's do another while true loop. Letter is equal to input enter a letter. I am going to go back and add P for print up here at the top. Once we get a letter, we're going to look to see if it's in the list. If it's not in the list, we're going to add a 1. I keep calling it a list, a dictionary. If it is in the list, we're going to get that value, add 1 to it, and then store it back again. So the first time they type in an A 1 is going to be put in a dictionary that's associated with that A. The second time, it's going to put in a 2. The third time, it's going to put in a 3, and so far, and so forth. So, let's look up the key. If letter, oh, I need a new dictionary. Let's call this one L count for letter count is equal to curly braces. If letter in L count, great. We need to get the value. Value equals L count square brace letter. We're going to add 1 to that value and we're going to write it back out. Value plus equals 1. And then L count letter equals value. Else, we're going to put a 0 in there. So else colon L count letter equals, no, not a 0, 1. All right, something I wish I had done is convert that letter to uppercase. So I'm going to do letter is equal to letter sub 0. We're just going to get the first thing in case they type in a whole word. Dot upper parentheses. So we got the first letter out of that string, and then we also turned it to uppercase.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Are you recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't have this.
Let me make sure. Indeed, yes. All right, now let's print out all the values and their counts. Or just for debugging purposes right now, let's just print L count without using a loop. That's not ideal, of course, but it'll work. And we're not providing them any way of quitting, so that's kind of lame, but let's run it. So I don't want to add any more to my Spanish dictionary, so I'm just going to type Q. Enter a letter, A. We now have one A. Enter a letter, B. We now have a B and an A. Enter a letter, A. We now have two A's and one B. Enter a letter, C. See, that's no particular order. D. Now we have one of each, two A's still. I'm going to do B again. That's going to pop up to 2. So you see what it's doing? It's doing a frequency count of letters.
I have a problem.
Sure, be right back, or be right there. So here we've created a dictionary, which is actually just a mapping of cars to colors. So it's a collection of cars and one attribute about that car. But you could also do something like this. Email is equal to, and then you could do email subject is equal to what up? And then email sender equal to Joe. The email recipient, recip. I should just make it from and to, huh? Yeah, from and to is equal to, this is to bgates@microsoft.com. Okay, to Bill. There we go. And email message, the body of it, body will work. Is equal to,
Please disable automatic updates in Windows 10.
so what you doing? There we go. So you see, this dictionary is actually just one object. It's not a mapping of a whole bunch of cards to their colors, or a whole bunch of words to their Spanish translations, or a whole bunch of letters to their counts. It's just one object. And then if you were going to create another email, you'd have to do this again. You probably would want to add this to a list of emails. So I'm just going to do capital L because I don't want to do emails and only have them separate by an S or not. So L is an empty list, and then L dot append that email we just made. Now copy all 5 of those lines, paste it again. In fact, and then append that one to our list as well. L dot append email. But change these things. This one is Yo. Bill is responding to Joe. Not much. You. There we go. These people have a lot to say. This looks like most of my text communications. And then let's print out that list. Print L. Now the formatting of the list is going to look pretty bad. Oh, I need to quit out of there. I need to add a letter, and I forgot to make a way to get out of that. All right, I have some catching up to do. I asked y'all to do this. If they type in a period during the letter lookup, we're going to break. So right here, if letter equals period break. And it'd be nice to tell them that that's true. Or dot to quit. Thank you. Colon after the if statement. All right, now I can go and test the other part of the code. Quit out of that. Enter period to get out of that. And so here is our text. If I can get it up there. We can't really tell because it's poorly formatted. But it's got a body, it's got a to, and it's got a from, and it's got a subject. And then there's another message coming up that's got a body, a to, and a from, and a subject. We could do a little bit less lazy of a job of printing that out. So down here for our print, let's do for every message in L, print message. It's still not going to be very nicely formatted. We would need a for loop that got all the keys out and printed their values, but it's a little bit better. So do you see the difference in the way we were using it here? One is we were making a list of cars and their colors, or, you know, a dictionary, a mapping of one kind of object to one kind of attribute. Here we are creating a single object that has different keys in it that mean different things. A better way to do this would be to write a class, but we haven't talked about classes yet. So this is one way of getting a collective of information about a specific object. And then once you have that object, once you have that, you add it to a list or do whatever you want to it. I need to think of a better way of wording that, but I hope you have the idea. Alrighty, we're going to jump gears. And have we done the bar graph? I know that we did a bar graph last semester, I think, but we're going to do a bar graph. We're going to go to a different site in order to do this and make a new file. It's going to be a turtle bar graph. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it quickly. Maybe. Iteration. Don't make me make it up. Alright guys, I'm just going to go steal it from somewhere else.
Yeah, that works.
So go ahead and do File, New File. We have to import a turtle, create a turtle, so import lowercase turtle. T is equal to lowercase turtle dot uppercase turtle parentheses in parentheses. Let's define a function called graph. And let's let it accept a list full of numbers. No, that's not good enough. Call this one Drawbar instead of graph. It takes a value. And so what our turtle is right now it's pointing backward. So we need to turn left 90 degrees, go up that value, turn right 90 degrees, go a certain width, turn right again, go down a certain width, and then turn left 90 degrees. So t dot left 90 degrees, t dot forward value, which is the height of the bar, t dot right. Now I guess we ought to make width a variable that we could pass in or something like that. So I'm going to redefine the definition. I just added width to that. And so we need to, wait, I'm making a mistake. We don't go right, we need to make a right angle. So t dot right 90, then t dot forward the width of the bar, t dot right again, and we need to go all the way back down to the bottom, so another right angle. I'm going to put spaces on these after these directions to kind of make it clear. T dot forward the value, which I wish now I named height. Then we need to turn left and go some little spacer distance. T dot left 10 pixels for our spacer. 5 pixels for our spacer, something. What if we didn't do any pixels for our spacer? That might be kind of cool looking. Let's leave that alone. And then we're going to return. Okay, so down here, let's call our drawbar. function. I think I want all of my bars to be 40 pixels wide. So draw a bar that's 10 tall, 40 wide. Now draw one that's 100 tall and 40 wide. Draw one that's 200 tall, 40 wide. And then draw a bar that's 150. A bard? A bar. There we go. 40 wide. So let's save this as graph 1, implying that we may be making more graphs at some point.
Mine's doing weird stuff again.
Yay! Alright, this looks really lousy, but kind of fun. That's not at all what I wanted it to do. So turn left, go up. Turn right, go a little ways. Turn right, go down. I forgot to do my final turn left to get us back in the direction we really were going. So tack on one more, turn left, 90.
Is there any way you can increase a parameter like that the Drawbar function takes?
Well, we could add more to the list here.
Oh, well, I was just saying, like, so, like, anything that, like, a function that you pass in for a function, there's no way just to increase.
You could, there are two topics about parameters that we haven't talked about. One is variable length lists, so that you could, like print will take one thing or two things or three things. That's one. And another is named parameters. You know how on when you do print we have end equals? End equals is specifying a parameter that we wanted filled in that print function. All right, if this works, go back and help.
There we go.
Everybody figured it out.
Oh, good. Now I think it'd be kind of cool if it was closed, at the bottom. So we need to go back
Add,
the width, and then we need to go back forward the width.
so add up.
So here, after we turn left, go T dot back the width, and then go T dot forward the width. And we could even fill it, we could fill it full of some color if we wanted to.
Oh, that's just crazy talk.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. That'd be too cool. We might not be able to take it. There we go. All right, it looks kind of nasty having that turtle there. We probably ought to make him go away.
Shoot him out like 5,000.
T dot hide. I think that'll make the turtle invisible even while letting it draw. Nope. Alrighty.
He doesn't hide.
Yeah, not the worst thing. The next thing this is suggesting is that we go ahead and we put labels on them with that number there. We can do that with the t.write command. So after we've gone up the height, let's do t.write. We're going to print the number out, the value, but we have to convert it to a string. We haven't really had to worry about that. Print expected everything we'd send it to be strings. But here we do have to worry about it. So print out, after we go forward to the height, after our first left turn, value converted to a string. Hoy.
He doesn't like hide.
Remove that hide.
That hide is just messing everything up.
I think it's probably visible or something like that. But
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that.
now that's pretty cool. Now we could, insert a couple spaces maybe.
If you put it on top, would it do it on the bottom? Like, or after the back?
Yeah, let's try. Let's move that and put it there at the back. I'm not sure. Let's give that a shot. So I just moved that t.write command down to here from where it was. Good experiment. let's add a couple spaces to it so that it'll be,
In the middle.
yeah, in the middle. So t.write, quote, space, space, end quote, plus string of value.
That's if.
It'd be neat if it was below it rather than intersecting it.
So maybe on the forward.
I don't think
Yes.
I don't think we can put it below it unless there are some parameters of the right function that would offset it. I'm going to move it back to where it was. You can leave it where you have it now, or just cut that right statement and put it back where it was. Pardon me?
Yeah, I just put mine.
I would do.
That's kind of neat.
It put spaces in it.
Now, with that idea, previously going back to the idea of the dictionary, if you wanted to have more than one value associated with a single key, you could put a list there. You know, if you were making a cookbook and you had, you know, an ingredient, or I need to think more carefully about that simile too. But you know, you could have a car and then you could have a whole lot of attributes associated with that car. You could stick all of those attributes.
Can you scroll up some? Please?
Yeah, sure. There we go. Something weird happening?
Yeah, I'm not.
Rather than make it back up each time, could we wait until we've drawn all the bars and then back up all in one swell foop? And yeah, we could. But what do you have to know in order to know how to draw that bottom line?
Max length and max width.
How many bars you have?
How many bars we have so that we could go backwards that number of
And then
bars.
Times it by 40 because that's what we made our list.
Right. So that requires us to maintain a counter for the number of bars. And that wouldn't be seriously traumatic. We could do that. Are we feeling that? Do we want to do that? Yeah, let's do it. All right, so up here, we need to define a variable which is going to be the number of bars we've drawn. Bars is equal to 0. Now, since drawbar is going to change that value, we need to define it as a global variable. So global bars. And then bars plus equals 1. Now, this business where we went back the width and the forward that width, I think we could comment both of those out.
Let's change that.
Now let's write a function called finish, which all it does is go back 40 times the number of bars that have been printed. And so since we're assuming that we're always going left by the time the drawbar function is done, I don't think we need to change our heading or anything. I think we can just do back bars times 40. No, by the width. We have to actually still have something. It would have been nice to have width be a constant or something like that, but bars times width. There we go. And we need to call that down here after we draw all of our things.
Put in width, and it keeps like, no, you can't do that.
So since your screen has text that's larger than mine, I cut and pasted that function to the bottom. You can leave yours where it was. but I want to finish this with the width of 40. And having that 40 repeated over and over is really bugging me, so I'm going to create a variable called width and set it equal to 40, and then replace all of those. Well, that didn't do anything. Back is not defined. Okay, I did my function wrong. It's t.back. Got to fix that line. So I added that line. I added that line. I've added this line. And up here at the top, getting too many adds. Let me delete some blanks. I added these two lines,
Oh, yeah, that was perfect.
and I had a definition of bars up above here. So there. I can sort of get it all on the same screen. There. Those are all the lines that we added or changed. I'm going to remove this comment because that's yesterday's news. All right, I like that. That's cool. I still want the dang cursor to disappear, though, so I'm going to look up how to do that.
Oh, well, what would have been cool with the forward and back is you could have changed the color of the bars with the fill.
Right, right. But I think we can do that anyways. Hide turtle. So as soon as we create our turtle, let's hide them. T.hide turtle.
Bye, turtle.
Let's set our colors. T.color, I want my bars to have a black outline with a yellow fill. Before I start doing all my rigmarole, I want to begin my fill. And I never remember if begin fill has an underscore in it or not. Yeah, it does. So the very first thing in the function, t.begin underscore fill, and then the very last thing in the function,
Oh, is that going to hide the label? Oh, no, 'cause it's on top.
well, it's not going to hide mine because I put mine up at the top.
I had to because the back got taken out, so you have to put back to the top.
Yeah, that's working actually. Cool.
Okay, where do we put the T fill? Let's run that.
All right, so while you were gone, of course, we went absolutely nuts changing all this. Let me print it out for you.
Could you print one of those for me as well?
Sure.
Or upload it, either one.
How many copies do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 20. Okay.
You
No,
could just upload it. Instead of printing 20 copies, just upload it.
I could do that.
Students in classroom print documents.
Yeah. I'm just going to upload it.
I just got it. I didn't hear what he said, but then I got what he said. It's funny though.
But it was funny, huh?
But it was funny, huh? Ouch. Shoot, let's go.
No, that's not the right place. Not the right class.
And then dot, dot. T dot in underscore fill.
Alright guys, if you go to the front page of our D2L section, you will see
It got really slow though.
that there's a Word document there called graph1.docx. You can just copy and paste out of it. Alright, so that's pretty neat code, in my opinion.
That's actually,
Pretty complicated.
So what we're going to do, what the homework assignment is, write some code that asks the user to enter a sentence, to count how many of each letter there is in that sentence, in which case you will use that L count code from the first PY we did. And then write a loop that will draw a bar graph where height times 20, no wait, where the count times 20 is the height, printing the letter up at the top rather than the height. Not sure about that part. That will require you to add one more parameter, a label parameter. I guess we should go ahead and add the label parameter right off before I send you off. So here we go. Where we have value and width, let's add one more parameter called label. And we're just going to put the word label here instead of value. So we doubly changed that one, a whole bunch of stars there. We changed that one. And then down here for our calls, we need to put some labels. A is that label, B is that label, or you could use the count, you know, 110, 100, 200, whatever. C is that label. And D is that label. Let's make sure that didn't break it.
Oh, that's legit.
Alright, that's cool. Alrighty, so the assignment. It will ask the user to enter a sentence, count how many of each letter there is in that sentence, use that L count, use a dictionary to keep track, write a loop that will draw a bar graph by using a for loop on that dictionary, calling the drawbar function where the count is the height. And the label is the letter. You'll probably want to multiply the count by something because it'll be pretty boring if it's, you know, like that. Try multiplying the count by 50 or something to make the graph pretty. So does that make sense? We're pretty much just combining the two things that we've done here. So I need to revise that upload with this version. And let's take that L count code from the dictionary and I will upload that as a separate attachment. So what's going to be different about your code than this? Your code's going to be a little bit different because it's going to ask for an entire sentence, and then it's going to pull out each letter. So it's going to need some kind of counter. Get the first one, get the second one, get the third one. So you'll probably have a while I in range length of sentence. And then you'll just keep incrementing I. So I'm not going to spell it out more. I want y'all to go ahead and bang your head on it.
Thank you.
But if you need suggestions, text me or something. And I will write up a suggestions document. All right, guys, let's make drop boxes for these. Don't leave yet. We haven't made the drop box for him.
Knees are killing me.
Sure, I was on.
You can trust me on one.
Source code for a graph. Okay.
So you'll both want your graph and your dictionary code in your Dropbox, just for you to reference easily. All right, it's Dropbox in. In as in no way. And the homework will be homework 10.
It's because I have the deluxe edition and the Feast Day Pranks as part of the deluxe edition that always keeps trying to do.
Let me just cancel that. Right now this is my first way because I just went to the standard character and I love the way they did the like profile system. That's really cool.
Now, so you're gonna run?
I was kidding, man. But when it comes to romance, right now I'm trying to they're all the girls.
What the? Show is alright.
I usually do that anyway. Though, like
Alrighty.
and then I like